John Cena can't handle the truth, and I wasn't ready for what we saw. This is my review of WWE Money in the Bank 2025. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. I'm recording this Tuesday, June 9th in the afternoon, so I haven't seen Monday's Raw yet, at least not at this point. This video will probably come out after that. In fact, I'm sure this video will come out after Raw. So let's get started with the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Bookended by Rhea Ripley and Alexa Bliss staring each other down. Almost bookended. The first, though, was after the two veterans got rid of all the rookies, though Naomi wasn't really a rookie, but a lot of the other women were. We, of course, got the ladder bridges built up. That was very useful. A definite highlight was when Stephanie Vacker hit the Devil's Kiss on Rhea Ripley on the ladder. Now, hitting that move on such a huge star like Rhea, that was, that's, I guess, Rhea being very generous, but that's definitely a way to help get Stephanie and that move even more over. Stephanie got also a dragon screw on Naomi. It almost looked like Naomi was out of it for a while. Rhea was pinned between a ladder. It took a little time for them to actually get the ladder down with Roxanne Perez and Julia. They ended up dumping a bunch of ladders on her, taking Rhea out for a while. Rhea eventually would get out of that. There was a dueling Code Red and Pop Rocks from, of course, Roxanne Perez and Naomi on the ladder. And a little bit after that, there was a dueling Sister Abigail DDT and Riptide from, of course, Alexa and Rhea. And then they used that for the two of them to climb the same ladder. And they were sort of fighting at the top of the ladder. We'll stare down, then the climb, then the fighting at the top of the ladder. But of course, here comes Naomi, knocks the ladder down, puts up another ladder, comes up without anyone to stop her. She even looks down to make sure no one's stopping her, which is a smart thing to do because sometimes the women or men too, just run up to the top of the ladder, assume they're going to get the briefcase, and here comes someone else. So she checked. Although we could all clearly see there was no one there because of the camera shot, and Naomi takes the briefcase. She is your 2025 Miss Money in the Bank. Okay, story, I'm going to give this one a B+. I mean, with the Money in the Bank match, it's kind of hard to have a consistent story, so it's about all the different stories going in. Now, they came out with the best story going forward with Naomi winning the briefcase, but as far as the stories in the match, I'm still going to give it a B+. In-ring storytelling, A+. In-ring work, only an A, because I'm going to take a little bit off for that really awkward bit where Roxanne and Julia were trying to get the ladder down on Rhea, and it just wasn't working. But other than that, perfectly fine work. And of course, crowd, A+. Overall, I'm going to give this one an A-. I mean, it was a really good match, a lot of really good spots. And like last year, there wasn't that much, there weren't that many individual match-specific stories going in, but last year's match was stellar. It was actually the best match on the PLE. This year's match was not as good, though, of course, I mean, it accomplished its goals, right? What were its goals? Making it logical that Rhea Ripley does not win when she definitely wants to win, but also showing her dominant. Building Stephanie Vacker, and I knew Julia wasn't going to win because she's in a feud for the Women's United States Championship, so that's where she's going. And also to have Naomi clearly win, because Naomi winning makes perfect sense storyline-wise. I kind of thought Stephanie Vacker might have won at a few points. Stephanie Vacker might have won at a few points, but she didn't. And I'm okay with that because storyline-wise, she can find another route to a championship match, maybe Queen of the Ring. Same with Rhea. But Naomi definitely deserves to be in this position because there's so much you can do with her holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. So I was very satisfied with this opening match. Not as good as last year, but still a standout. Next up for the Intercontinental Championship, the men's one, that is, not the women's one that was announced in advance. We got Dominik Mysterio Dirty Dom defending against Octagon Jr. from AAA. This match was thrown together earlier in the day at Worlds Collide. Basically, Octagon was fighting and he had shown his support of Rey Mysterio. And Dom said, my dad's a deadbeat. And then got into a fight. And he said, I'll see you later at Money in the Bank. And I'm going to put this on the line. Okay, surprise match. There were 5 matches on the card, not 4. This was a short match, about around the 5-minute range. Octagon did look strong, did show a lot of offense, managed to break out of or only get Dom only get 1 amigo instead of 3. At one point, Dom was doing a typical heel thing, trying to tie Octagon's mask to the ring. Octagon even got out of a 619, but then there was a distraction from Liv Morgan, which gave Dom the time to take Octagon down, hit him with the 619, frog splash, 1, 2, 3, and still the Intercontinental Champion, Dirty Dominik Mysterio. Story's really not applicable because it was from a match earlier in the day. There really was no story. Still, in-ring storytelling was a B. They did the best with what they had, like a short match. In-ring work, I'm going to say an A-. I mean, yeah, they were both really good. Can't really complain. Nothing too spectacular. And crowd, A+. Overall, I'm going to give this match a B+. Not bad for a match that was thrown together last minute. And this gave some exposure to Octagon on a much bigger stage. Octagon Jr. on a much bigger stage. It showed Dom being a bit better than he was. Almost like a really talented Intercontinental Champion, but I think they were going more for the honky tonk man thing, where he's the chicken shit heel that always runs away. So I don't know what they're doing there, but still, this is not necessarily that memorable a match, though it might be for Octagon Jr. and his fans and fans of AAA. For me, I'm glad it was there. It was fun, but not the most memorable thing on the card. And then for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, the champion Lyra Valkyria defends against challenger Becky Lynch. Lyra started off hot during the introductions, didn't let Becky's introduction complete, didn't even get her own introduction. Perfect start to the match. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of really good wrestling in this match. There were arm bars, ankle breaks, a neck breaker, a spot on the barricade. There was a midair catch turned into a power bomb. We got manhandle slams. We got the Nightwing slam from the second rope. There was almost a double countout spot. And I was almost believing that they were both going to be counted out because that would have been an interesting way to do it. But nope, they got back in the ring. Eventually, Lyra tried for a roll-up, but Becky countered it and grabbed the tights, according to Michael Cole, that you couldn't really see it. 1, 2, 3, and new Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch. After the match, as per the stipulation, Lyra had to raise Becky's hands in victory. She shrugged a bit, but eventually she did it. Then Becky said, no, all 4 corners. They did all 4 corners. Then Becky insisted that Lyra put the belt on her. Lyra did, but then gave her a nice German suplex. Okay. Across the board, the story was excellent. I mean, this is a great developing story. I think there's going to be more to it. I mean, this could be the finale for now. Not really sure. They might bring Bayley in. Maybe it'll be a triple threat at SummerSlam. Bayley didn't come in, which is, I predicted Becky was going to win, but I thought Bayley was going to come in after. I mean, if you include the NXT match, match where Lyra won, you could say Lyra won the first 2 of the 3 and Becky won the 3rd. Maybe they'll come back to it later. So they could end it like that, or they could continue it. This is a really good story. So yes, storytelling, the story A+, in-ring storytelling A+. They juxtaposed what happened the last time perfectly with the roll-up, except this time Becky had the tights. In-ring work, A+, crowd A+. Overall, excellent match, A+. I'm loving this feud. I mean, this might actually, low-key, could end up becoming feud of the year. Last year it was CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I mean, it's probably going to, I mean, it might end up being, Cody and Cena or something like that, or Punk and someone else. But I mean, the year's still young, but just the work they've been doing with this so far, this is like a low-key favorite of mine. And I love this match. I love the last match. I didn't actually watch their first one on NXT because I wasn't really watching NXT, and I still don't, but maybe I'll go back and watch that. These two work really well together. Great in-ring chemistry, great storytelling. This is really building Lyra to the next level. Her character is really coming out. No real complaints. Excellent match. Next, it was the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. It started off with a fun bit of all the baby faces ganging up on Seth Rollins after him and his crew had ganged up on them individually the night before. They even convinced Solo Sikoa to join in. Once Solo shoves Seth out of the ring, they all attack Solo Sikoa because they don't really like him either. There were some wild spots there. El Grande Americano did an ankle lock on the ladder. That looked impressive. Also looked like a Chad Gable move. There was actually, speaking of El Grande, at one point there was like a ladder bridge. They had obviously the ladder bridge, and he actually wasn't even the ladder bridge yet. It was a ladder. He pushed the ladder onto another ladder as he runs up it to stop someone taking the briefcase. They of course had the branded fireball ladder, which El Grande picked out from underneath the ring. He used it, didn't work. Penta even tried using it, and Seth. That ladder eventually went down. And in fact, El Grande had taken Penta off the ladder by loading his mask after ducking LA Knight. And of course, we had the interference when Seth felt it was needed. He ordered Paul Heyman to bring out the guys. Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed come out. They lay waste to almost everyone. Braun Breaker in particular at one point takes out LA Knight. Solo's crew comes out. Jacob Fatu. And I gotta remember his name now. It's JC Mateo. It's not Jeff Cobb anymore. JC Mateo. They come out. They take out Seth's crew, and they're setting it up for Solo to climb the ladder. And this is obviously, I kind of figured what was happening here, but it was still good to see it. Jacob, keeps moving the ladder around at Solo's orders, and then Solo goes to climb. Jacob grabs him. I thought it was a nice touch that Solo didn't even realize he was being held down by Jacob. Just thought he was stuck. Then he looked down. So Jacob laid waste to him after saying, "I hate you." He didn't say Solo, as he'd always said, "I love you, Solo," but it was, I guess, it was clear who he was talking to. And then that cleared the way for Seth to climb the ladder. Seth is climbing, but then the last minute ditch effort, LA Knight runs in, runs up, but nope, not going to be his day. Gets taken down, and Seth Rollins captures the briefcase and is your 2025 Mr. Money in the Bank. Okay, story A+. In-ring storytelling, I'm going to give it an A. I'm going to take a little bit off. I mean, finding the fireball branded ladder, as we heard before in the segment, it was going to be there, was kind of cheesy. And the Solo turn, or not the Solo, the Jacob turn was kind of telegraphed, but it was still really good to see it. In-ring work, A+. And no real botches or anything like that. Nothing that stood out as something, to take marks off for. Crowd, A+. Overall, I'm going to give the men's ladder match an A+. Now, I also gave A+ to Becky and Lyra. I actually liked Becky and Lyra more. But even though it's the same grade, this is not my favorite match, my second favorite match. I thought it was really good. I really had hope that they were going to pull a swerve and LA Knight was going to win, and it almost looked like they were going to do that at the end, and it got me. And and you know what? The expected winner, when I was doing my predictions, I said my head was with Seth Rollins, my heart was with LA Knight, and I chose my heart, but my head actually was right. And now Seth is Mr. Money in the Bank, which creates a whole bunch of interesting scenarios going forward. You can kind of see where it's going to go. Full disclosure, I started recording this video before Raw, but this match and the next match I recorded after, so I know what happened on Raw. We'll talk about that in the next match, but I know that he didn't cash in right away, but I was thinking he was going to cash in that night, if not surely the next night. He didn't, but still, him with that briefcase is still a big threat. I also know they continued one of the little threads, which I made a point of noting that LA Knight got taken out by Braun Breaker the next night, so it's good storytelling before, during, and going forward. Last year, it was the women's Money in the Bank match I liked more. This one, the men's, not just for the story, but for the overall work and the overall excitement of it, I preferred, even though a whole huge section in the middle had to do with 4 other people that were not officially part of the match. But it didn't distract enough to really take any marks off. I thought this was a solid Money in the Bank ladder match, and I'm definitely curious about where we go from here, and I'm excited. And for performance, my low-key MVP was actually Solo Sikoa. I mean, I loved it how he was really like sort of enjoying his role right now. You know, like he's being a total dick, but he's enjoying it. He's like, sure, yeah, I'll help you guys out. Come on, we're friends now, right? Nope, they all attack him. And he was mocking Penta's little strut. And then the interplay with Jacob at the end. The fact that he actually thought he was stuck and it wasn't Jacob holding him down was perfectly in character for him. So yeah, my low-key MVP for that match is Solo Sikoa. In the main event, a tag team match, the undisputed WWE champion, greatest of all time, 17, never seen whatever, John Cena, teaming with YouTube star Logan Paul, or former United States champion. I mean, he's been in WWE for a while, versus the world heavyweight champion, main event, Jey Uso, and the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. The match started with a bit of back and forth, you know, like, oh, is Cena going to be in? Is he not? At one point, for a good chunk of the match, they actually had Jey Uso isolated in the ring. They kept preventing the hot tag. And ultimately, it was the dissension between Logan Paul and John Cena, momentary dissension, that allowed Jey to escape their clutches. Massive pop for the hot tag to Cody. That's how you do a hot tag. Cody came in. A lot of back and forth. There was one really impressive spot from Logan Paul that didn't work the way he wanted. Of course, it obviously was the way he wanted. Where he captures a drone again. He had a drone at the beginning, he came in with it, and he grabs the drone. He's like, I'm gonna hold the drone as I do my move off the ropes. But then Cody interfered, and eventually Cody pulled him down. So we come down with the drone, and then we just see the Uso splash, Jey landing on him from the angle of the drone. We can tell what's going on, but we see it from the mat angle, which is great. They later showed it from the other angle. I thought that was really innovative production. There was a spot on they cleared off the announce tables. Jey Uso did the spear. The table did not break. Cena gets back in the ring, and then we get this amazing Asai moonsault from Logan Paul off the top rope onto Jey in the announce table. The table breaks. Logan Paul and Jey Uso stay down for the rest of the match. And knowing what happens the next night, this is definitely building up future storytelling. The announcers even mentioned that the one who's loving when Jey Uso was isolated there was Gunther. And then back in the ring, John Cena, knocks Cody with the belt. He's about to go get the pin, but then a hooded figure comes in, spears John Cena. You might think it's Roman Reigns because he does a spear, but nope. This masked individual then volleys a series of punches on Cena, gets up, pulls off the hoodie, and it's R-Truth, who's actually going by Ron Killings right now. Massive, massive crowd pop. At this point, Cody gets up. The referee comes back, turns around, who was distracted, helping Jey Uso and checking on Jey Uso and Logan Paul. Comes back in. Cody hits the crossroads. 1, 2, 3. And the big takeaway is that the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes pinned the undisputed WWE champion John Cena. So that must make him number 1 contender at some point, or at least get him a rematch. Obviously, it's not going to be right away. So your winners, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. But the real part that everyone's going to remember is the return of Truth. Story A-. I mean, this is a good big story. I haven't really been completely enthralled with this story, but it's still a solid one. More than solid, actually. In-ring storytelling was going to be about the same, A-, but you know what? Because of the R-Truth moment, A+. In-ring work, mainly because of Logan Paul and the way he didn't hit the move, but that gave us that great drone shot. And then the Asai moonsault, it's going to bump it up to an A+. And crowd, of course, especially for the truth reaction, A+. Overall, I'm going to give it an A. But in terms of what I like, it's only slightly behind the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. But of course, my favorite match, which is also an A+, along with that one, is Becky and Lyra. I thought this was good. And the reason it did score so high is mainly for, sort of how they told the story in the ring, not so much the story going in, but mainly that R-Truth bit and some of the execution of some of like the high spots, even the failed execution of a move was great. I thought this was a good way to close the PLE. I kept thinking there was going to be a cash in, but of course there wasn't a cash in because, honestly, if it wasn't for, if Cena and Paul had somehow ended up winning and Cody was taken out of it, Rollins definitely could have cashed in on Jey Uso that night, but then he'd have to face Gunther the next night after having just gone through a ladder match. And of course, Jey had to face Gunther the next night after going through not only this match, the match before and the match after that. We'll talk about how that worked out in the Raw review. But you know what? Truth showing up was the bigger story than Cody getting the pin, but it was a really fun way to end Money in the Bank 2025. And that's how I saw the 2025 Money in the Bank Premium Live event from WWE. My favorite match was a singles match. The two Money in the Bank matches were solid, reverse of last year. This year I enjoyed the men's more. Last year I enjoyed the women's, but both were quite good. There was that kind of throwaway, there was Dominik Mysterio match, and a very interesting end to the main event. So you know what? I was definitely happy having watched this PLE. Did you agree with my takes, my ratings? What have do you like my rating system? My overall pretty generous rating system? Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Voice Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. Also, jasoncmclean.bsky.social on Bluesky. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications to get on my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, wrestling opinion pieces, WWE Premium Live Event prediction and review videos like this one, and assorted thoughts on SmackDown and Raw. And I'm going to record my assorted thoughts on Raw like right now. I've actually, again, the first half of this video I recorded before watching Raw. I just recorded this, and now I'm going to talk about a pretty stellar episode of Raw. So that should be coming up shortly after this video. Until next time, for Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.